what is happening in it, and it's. I know I've been incredibly late in jumping on the Demon Slayer movie train, so let's actually talk about it for a little bit, specifically in regards to Infinity Castle Part 1, which is the first arc of. First movie of the final arc. And I've always been concerned, or rather worried, by the fact that the Demon Slayer final arc was going to be a trilogy of movies. Now, in saying that, I wasn't necessarily worried about the quality or anything like that. I was more worried about the presentation style of how things are going to work out. Because if we're looking at 3 movies, and the first movie here is 2.5 hours, if you put that all together, you get about 7.5 hours of movie, assuming that the second and third movies are also going to be 2.5 hours. You could probably do that, or a 26 episode season, but then is it going to hit as hard? Is it going to work as well? And that's really like a bunch of what ifs that I will not be delving into too much, but I did go into this movie a little bit concerned on how everything was going to be presented. And I'm still kind of worried even after watching it. Don't get me wrong, that the Demon Slayer movie, Mugen Johin, the first movie, is really good. Like, the animation style is incredible. I think that some of the action scenes are incredibly well done. But there are some dips of quality that become incredibly obvious. Now, without going into too much in the way of spoilers, which I'm going to try and hide as much as I can, some of the demons that end up fighting are upper 2, upper 6, and upper 3. But it's obvious that from the way upper 2 and upper 6 were presented, that upper 3 was going to be like, it is the main fight that you're going to be watching, because it focuses on upper 3's way of like how he became a demon, why he fights, his mentality, just who he was as a person before turning into a demon, but also the fact that it was significantly more hype the moment the upper 3 fight started, or the fight against the upper 3 demon, whereas like upper 2 just felt very lackluster in comparison, and I was actually kind of disappointed by that one. And upper 6, while it did feel like a full arc happened right then and there, it felt too short to really pay too much attention to. So it's clear that the vast majority of the movie is basically the upper 3 fight. And that being said, though, the amount of time that they, and I feel like a lot of people are not going to like what I'm about to say, but that last 45 minutes of the movie, I want to say, roughly speaking, is what propelled this movie to being much better than I originally anticipated. I was having an okay time just kind of sitting through the movie, seeing, different, obviously art styles of like, oh, here's a comedic segment that has significantly less attention to detail on character design. And then you've got a fight here that's got significantly more quality. And when you think about the fact that like Demon Slayer has kind of been giving us what I would refer to as movie quality animation during the show, does it feel like it lessens the quality of watching the movie in a theater, in the cinemas? Absolutely it does, because we don't get that movie quality animation all the time. And so, because you're sitting in the movies watching this movie, you kind of feel like you have a higher expectation of what's going on. And it was incredibly disappointing initially, but then that last fight, the upper 3 fight, which, like I said, takes up significant majority of the movie, does really well, I would say. It lands well enough to the point where I'm not annoyed, angry, or disappointed by the movie. In fact, I think that the movie is good. I think that the movie is really good because of it. And the amount of depth that the upper 3 demon goes through, how the characters in his life compare and contrast to the characters in the demon corps that he is very much fighting against during this period of time, is very, let's just say, it's extremely well presented, and it makes for an incredibly compelling character in upper 3. And we've seen him before, keeping in mind during Mugen Densha, which is the first Demon Slayer movie that we saw, which basically adapts the arc after the first season. And honestly, like I said, that's part of what made that initial part of upper 3 jumping in really hype compared to like the upper 2 and the upper 6 fight. Upper 3 had some incredibly good music stings. The audio was absolutely incredible. The music that was playing was just absolutely on point. It felt like it was hitting at the right time. The audio mixing of the volumes and things like that, like it all felt really, really well done. And it really, like I said, it caused upper 2 and upper 6 to pale in comparison to what the upper 3 fight was. That being said though, given that where we now currently stand with the first movie now having finished, and with 2 more movies to go in order to basically finish the remainder of this final arc, it's still worth keeping in mind that it feels like the first movie went at a relatively sluggish pace. If where we are currently with how many upper demons are left, plus Muzan, it really does feel like the second movie has to pick up the pace quite a bit. And on a reflective note, it really does feel like this movie may have taken its time a little bit too much. Though, keeping in mind that the movie does have a 2.5-hour runtime, and I highly doubt that any of the other movies are going to be longer than that. And if they are, it's going to be interesting to see how everything kind of wraps up. There's still a lot of what ifs all over the place as far as what was presented in this movie, as well as how things are going to happen moving forward. It's a big what if throughout most of it. That being said though, like I said, I think a significant majority of the quality in the story is lacking until we hit the upper 3 fight. Same thing with music, same thing with visual quality, same thing with like the actual amount of emotion that the movie tries to make you feel. A lot of it is very much in that second half of the movie. That first half feels incredibly weak in comparison, and during that period of time, in that initial half, I did genuinely feel like I was kind of disappointed. I kind of expected a bit more, given that I had to go out of my way to watch this at a movie theater, which also cost me an arm and a leg to bloody afford. So the expectation was heightened quite significantly due to just the amount of like annoying hoops I had to jump through to even be able to watch it to begin with. But hey, that's just me complaining for the vast majority. Just complaining for the sake of it, I guess. See, one thing that I was also worried about was if the ending feels like it actually felt like an ending, and in a way it kind of did, but we know that there is more coming, and so in the end it really didn't, like, the ending didn't do the movie much in the way of favors. It's just, here's what to look forward to, rather than a self-contained story, which is what a movie, by all accounts, is supposed to be. So for the final arc to be a trilogy of movies, have that announced beforehand, and try their best to kind of hold on to this sort of story for dear life. It, again, just makes me wonder how all of this is going to be presented and put together. Is it going to be a worthy conclusion to this entire story arc? And I kind of am not really feeling that still, even after watching the first movie. That being said though, is this movie good? Yes. But with the massive qualifier that it's only the second half of the movie that's really, really good. Outside of that, quality wise, everything that you could think of the movie, where it comes to the angles, animation, art style, music, writing did actually, when you watch a movie at a cinema, like, it really, really does make you put a lot more attention to the writing, and sometimes the writing can feel a little bit off. What made it even more off for me is because I'm someone who does know Japanese to some extent, so I did not agree with some of the translations. Some of the translations were just absolutely unlike, why would you translate this term in this way, when obviously if you did it a tad bit more literally, it would have worked a lot better. Like, I'm just saying, there were certain instances where I just kind of sat there and thought to myself, wow, I just do not agree with some of these translations that were going on. And honestly, if I had recorded this review, I think after I'd watched the movie, like immediately afterwards, I probably would have had a lot more to say. But after stewing on this for a bit, all I can really say with certainty is I had a good time, but it didn't truly feel hype. I think the only time where it did was when the upper three fight was about to start. The immediate like musical sting as he just appears. Yeah, I think a lot of the focus was definitely on upper three as not only as a villain, but also how he became a demon, his past, and how the characters that he's fighting against compared to the people who kind of helped him live his life for better and for unfortunately worse. So with all that being said though, I really do think that this is a good movie, but I can't really give it much more because that quality wasn't consistent throughout. So honestly, this is very much a, just like I said, good movie. So I'm just going to put this in my My Anime list at a 7 out of 10. I don't think I can really give it that much higher of a score, to be completely honest, because yeah, it feels like it could have done so much better if it was a bit tighter, but at the same time, would it really have made things that much better? Who the hell knows? Because again, keeping in mind that these guys are in fact adapting a already existing piece of media, so it really, really does depend on how you want to look at it. But for me personally, it just didn't really work out as well as I kind of hoped. But yeah, with all that being said though, like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 500 subs by the end of the year. And with all that being said, let me know what you guys think about this movie, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who have actually seen it and are more than happy to share their thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. But with all that being said, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.